Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a test ride and review on this 2023 KLX230SM. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you whether or not this bike right here is a good buy, or if you should really be saying goodbye. Before we get going, just a quick note, this bike does have a bigger brother called the KLX230SM, and it's very different in a lot of ways, but on the surface level, they do look very similar. At the end of the day, they are both supermotos, but their frames are both totally different, so they feel different. But we're not talking about that bike today, we're talking about this one, so let's talk about it. This motorcycle features a super duper sweet single overhead cam air-cooled engine. And if there's one word I can use to describe this engine, it is gutless. This thing has absolutely zero balls. You will see that in the test ride segment coming up shortly. There were no official engine output numbers on Kawasaki's website, so I had to turn to outside sources who would put them on dyno, and here's what I found. Absolutely staggering numbers, I know. And moving right along, let's talk about stopping power. This motorcycle does feature a 300mm single disc up front, and that should be more than enough to confidently bring you to a stop, especially with the motorcycle's wet weight of just 296 pounds wet and ready to ride. The only item heavier than this motorcycle is probably your mom. The seat height on this motorcycle is 33.3 inches, and while normally that would be a pretty tall seat height for some to get along with, what you'll find is that since it kind of takes after a dirt bike, it's super skinny and you can actually get both your feet on the ground confidently as long as you're above about 5'10". And the last thing to really talk about is the suspension on the motorcycle. Up front, it features a 37mm inverted fork from Showa, and that's paired out back with a monoshock in the rear for 8 inches of wheel travel. And I gotta admit, I was not expecting the suspension on this motorcycle to be as stiff as it was when I got on it. The forks felt stiff, and the rear end did not squat or sag as much as I really thought it would have. And those are just most of the things that I like to hit on in the beginning of my videos, so now that all that's out of the way, let's get into the test ride.
Oh, before we do that, let me get you guys an exhaust clip. I will open my visor up and let you guys have a listen. Actually sounds pretty decent for a stock exhaust. I know it's not much, but not too shabby. And here we are on the test ride. Hello everybody. I'd like to take a moment to welcome everybody back to Omnimoto, riding a motorcycle with zero wind protection on a very cold day in the middle of winter here in Missouri. Ooh, I see you down there, boy. So right away, shifting on this little guy is very crisp, very well done. Whenever it clicks into gear, you know it's in gear. This little single overhead cam engine, not super duper rev happy, but also not the biggest slouch in the world. Never ridden a Supermoto on the streets. The geometry of a, well, let's be honest, this is just a dirt bike or a dual sport with street wheels and tires slapped onto it. And all the other street legal equipment that you need for a motorcycle. Now, while I said it's not the slowest, it is definitely not the fastest either. And another thing I'm noticing, this cable right here is right in the fucking way of my speedometer. I can't see how fast I'm going. 43. Sweet. And like I mentioned back during the walk around, the suspension on this thing is actually pretty darn stiff. Here, let's take her around this bend and see what she can do. Oh, it's a little wibbly wobbly. I don't really like that. It doesn't feel great. And admittedly, this is not a high-speed motorcycle. If you're looking at this motorcycle thinking it's going to be an amazing commuter, whoo, you are way off. The seat is super firm, and it is not very comfortable. Oh, and I'm feeling almost everything underneath of me. Yeah, and for the most part, this thing is kind of gutless, actually. I was trying to downplay it and make it not seem so gutless, but it absolutely is. It is very nimble. Just wide open right now. There's a rev limiter. Yep, little single overhead cam engine, giving her all she's got. And man, I'd say, 70 miles per hour is probably all she's got. I'm not even going to take this bike out on the interstate. That's how not confident I am in its ability to do highway travel. Seriously, if you're looking at this hoping for a good highway commuter, look at something else. Oh, and I just noticed, this is actually Showa suspension up front. So, a reputable factory suspension company that a lot of the Japanese OEMs seem to have a lot of trust in, and even some domestic brands as well. I mean, I'm having a good time. I'm not saying this is a bad bike. This isn't my cup of tea, you know? I really like dual sports. I love the nature of them and that they're kind of like urban assault vehicles that you can use for exploration around the city and maybe hitting a dirt road, depending on your confidence of the street-oriented tires that are on it. It would make a really good companion for weekend adventures, or if you had a shorter commute, say 15 minutes, and you weren't doing speeds of over 55 miles per hour, you could probably get by with one of these actually pretty well. Thank you for stopping. I appreciate you. You the man. The bars are very, very wide, so you have a ton of leverage on the motorcycle. And if you do any, you know, type of off-roading, dual sporting with these street tires that are on it, that's going to play in your favor. How'd all the buttons feel? Nice. We're going to do our best to do an improv 0 to 60 test. This is the same spot where I did a 0 to 60 test on the Benelli TNT 135, and I almost smoked that deer. You can catch that video right up here if you want to see more of that motorcycle. Okay, let's try our 0 to 60 test. Everybody ready? I don't think I'm ready. Maybe I'm ready. 3, 2, 1. Wow. Oh shit. See if I can just get away with waving at him. Hello, Ossifer. And yeah, I said Ossifer. I know what I said. I am so ready for spring. I'm going insane. With it being winter, not being able to ride my bike into work. It's such a sad time in my life. Every winter season. But you know, things are about to start getting better. First day of spring, I think, is like March 21st. Super excited for that. I can't stress enough how stiff the suspension is on this. I'm so surprised by that. But I guess if you want a motorcycle that has really agile handling and can be nimble and turn on a dime, this is probably it. You just have to know what to expect out of it before you go into it. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect because, again, I've never ridden one of these. Or any Supermoto aside from a DRZ 400 like 5 years ago. Aside from that, I have no prior experience with these things. So for this being my first time on, I'd say I'm having a little bit of fun. It'd probably be more fun if I was like downtown in the city streets, or even on like a country back road where I get to carve it up a little bit more. It is pretty pleasant though. The engine's super friendly, and if you're looking at it as a beginner bike, I'd say it's a really, really good option. But for something that's a little bit more street friendly, maybe look at like a Z400 or a CF Moto 300 NK. I've done videos on both of those, and you can catch those in my Should You Buy series playlist. Another thing about these tiny tires, you really do feel all the nooks, crannies, and crevices in the road that run parallel with the direction you're riding. It's okay. I'm just now noticing this. There's a little bit of twitchiness in the open and close stage of the throttle, you know, that 0 to 10% window. I've mentioned that in some other videos before. Definitely felt that. Okay, so let's do the verdict. This motorcycle would be a good buy for someone who wants a super fun, lightweight, nimble, economical, around town motorcycle, or maybe even the weekend warrior who likes to go out, hit the twisties, carve them up, and get pretty good fuel mileage while doing it. It's a pretty capable little motorcycle, but in terms of speed and acceleration, I wouldn't ask too much of it in that regard. With the standard features that you get, the suspension setup that comes on it, those all conglomerate to paint a pretty cool little picture here. I'd say for all of those reasons, this is a pretty good buy. Now the flip side to that coin, if you're looking for something that's going to be able to commute for much longer distances, be very comfortable on long rides, and packs a little bit more punch, I think you should probably shy away from this. Possibly look at the 300 SM for something that's got a little bit more capability, but very simple styling, ergonomics, and overall setup. So if you're a speed freak, you love raw torque and horsepower, you want a bunch of bells and whistles, then I'm going to go ahead and say this is probably a good buy. And one last thing I'll mention, if you want to purchase a motorcycle from me, you can contact me at omnimoto1@gmail.com. And I do work at a dealership, and you can even call me there. If you want to inquire about a motorcycle from anything you've seen on my channel, I will let you know a price. Please keep in mind, I do not make the prices. I am just a salesman. We do ship to the lower 48 states. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. I will catch you guys in the outro.
Hey everybody, welcome to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this far. I really hope you enjoyed what you just watched. If you did, please consider leaving a like on this video, and while you're at it, why not check out this playlist up here with more Kawasaki motorcycles. And of course, it's no requirement, but if you could be so kind, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out and helps more people like you find my channel. I don't have anything else to add, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video off here. I just want to say thank you guys so much for 3,000 subscribers. Thank you for tuning in. Please have a great day and ride safe.